Let me explain the triangle law of vector addition. Imagine you're walking, you start at point A and then you go to point B. The movement is called vector AB, as we can say as vector A to B. Then from point B, you start walking to point C. That's a second movement, the second vector BC or vector B to C. Now, if you look at both movements together from A to B, then from B to C, it's the same as going straight from A to C. We call this single movement vector AC or vector A to C. It's the total effect of the two previous movements. So we can write it as vector AB plus vector BC equal to vector AC. Here's something important. Note that the point B is the same in both vectors. You end the first vector at point B and you start from the second vector from point B. This only works if the two vectors are connected at the same point and that point is B. So when we add a vector AB to vector BC to get vector AC, it means that we go from A to B, then from B to C. And the result is like going straight from A to C. The reason why it's called the triangle law is because the point A, B, and C form a triangle. Here's another way to add two vectors using the parallelogram law. We start from point A, then we move from A to B. This is vector AB. We can also move from A to D. This is vector AD. But then now, since AB and AD are the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, we can say that AD is equal to BC. So the vector AB plus vector AD will be equal to the vector AB plus vector BC, and will give us vector AC. Similarly, we can also go from the path AD plus vector DC will give us vector AC as well. Vector AC is called the diagonal or the parallelogram, and is the resultant vector when we add vector AB and vector AD. Now let's move next to the addition of column vectors. To add two column vectors together is really simple. We just add the top parts together and the bottom parts together. It's like stacking the numbers and adding row by rows. So if we have a vector A that consists of A1 over A2 and a column vector B that consists of B1 over B2, if you sum vector A with vector B, you get A1 plus B1 over A2 plus B2. There are a few important rules for the properties of vector addition. The commutative property says that the order doesn't matter when you add vectors. Whether you add vector B to vector A is the same as whether you add vector A to vector B. The association property says that you can group vectors in any way you like by adding three vectors. If you have vector A, B, and C, you can first add vector A and B together, if you add vector C, or you can add vector B and C together first, and then you add vector A to them. Lastly, the law of zero vectors say that if you add a zero vector, the result is just the original vector.